Hey guys, so I am almost finishing up the relief. It's taken me quite some time to do it. I'm probably going to spend one more session on it, but the good thing about this board, you can like flip it. So, and you know, with a strong side light, it does look pretty decent. The flower kind of flows like this, but it does work horizontally or vertically. And the last thing I'm going to do is just clean up the form. So if I am showing you this, I want to make sure that all of these lines will start to kind of flow and eventually kind of taper off. So, and I want to make sure that everything is distinctive and it doesn't kind of cluster together. So one of the issues I'm finding with this JMAC clay is that the clay itself is a little bit on the soft side, and I'm finding it technically very difficult to do details when it is at this level. It would be better to use Sargent clay or Roma clay because it is a much harder clay. This one, it is too soft, and the problem is that everything that I do, it kind of becomes oily, and this sort of subject I think lends itself well to a harder clay. I think this clay, this JMAC clay, is almost as good as water clay, and I think it's probably a little bit better for quick sketches instead of doing very finished sort of stuff. This one, because of the details and the intricate geometry, is a lot harder to do with this sort of thing, and that is very minor. You know, I think I can pull it off with the details. So another thing that I am thinking about is that I'll probably unscrew the board and put it on the fridge overnight or the freezer and let it harden, because the clay was going to behave much different with it completely hard than it does with it at this sort of softness. This is a medium, so this JMAC clay is a little bit softer than medium than I'm used to. Another thing to note is that I'm using brushes like this. They're bristle brushes. So I'm using these bristle brushes, and what I do is I simply put some mineral spirits, and the part that I can't get into, like say over here, I use the brush. It's very difficult to get your hand into these little crevices, and you want to kind of tweak things. Now, the idea is that you don't leave like lumps like this, and the clay kind of melts, so in a way it makes it soft, but it kind of lets you do a lot of things. So if you don't want to put it in the freezer, sometimes it's good to kind of just take your brush and let it smooth out, and simply kind of look up. And by the way, you should also, like when you're working on these things, you need to make sure you look up, you look down. If you have a sculpture stand that moves up and down, then all the better. And what I do is I like to flow the forms the way everything is going. But as far as details, I am probably going to wait until the very last minute. So this is the second session. I know I haven't been posting up a lot of videos, but it's been a little hectic. I do plan on doing some more videos in the future, and I will be using water clay. I just recently picked up some grog water clay, and it's different than the clay I've been using, so I'll explain the difference between grog and non-grog. But as far as this one, it is almost done, and I am just going to take some time to blend all of these edges. I like to have the forms be a little bit soft rather than hard. It makes a little bit more sense. So there we go. And if you guys have any ideas for my next sculpture, I do have a few. Post up in the comments below. I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have to say about these sculptures, and if there's any future projects you think I should be concentrating on in the future. So the good thing about this is that I can do this. Flip it. And now I have access to it completely in a different point of view, and I can just simply move the clay around because it's rather soft at this point, like that. People tend to do is look at it directly from here on to the relief, but you'll be much better off even changing the light. So sometimes I will turn on another light that I have here, and you'll see what will happen. So I'll turn on a very strong side light and even like decrease it just so I can have a little bit more shape to the shadow. And this will help me see a little bit more of the imperfections. It's very important because, and I think this is the part where I do struggle because of the clay. You know, I just want to blame the clay for my incompetence here. But I kind of wish it was a little bit harder. I wish it got hard overnight or something, just a little bit. Because at this point, it's a very good modeling clay, but not good enough for any substantial detail work, which is, I wanted to kind of put a little bit more detail into this. So the next step is to finish it, put all the details, and then eventually I will be making a cast and mold out of this. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.